Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? This is the billion-dollar question that has puzzled the world for over a decade. This mysterious figure, or perhaps a group of people, gifted us Bitcoin, the first ever cryptocurrency, and then vanished without a trace. Today, we're diving deep into the most compelling theories about the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. So grab your detective hats and let's get started. First, let's set the stage. In late 2008, a paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was published on a cryptography mailing list. The author was Satoshi Nakamoto. This paper laid out the blueprint for a decentralized digital currency, free from the control of banks and governments. Over the next 2 years, Satoshi collaborated with other developers online, refined the code, and mined the first ever block of Bitcoin, the Genesis block. In this block, Satoshi embedded a now famous headline from the Times newspaper: "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." This was a clear message, a critique of the traditional financial system. Then, in April 2011, Satoshi sent a final email saying, "I moved on to other things," and was never heard from again. What Satoshi left behind was a revolutionary technology and an estimated 1 million bitcoins, which, at their peak, were worth nearly $70 billion. And they haven't been touched since. This only adds to the mystery. Why walk away from such a fortune? This brings us to our first and most famous suspect, Dorian Nakamoto. In 2014, a Newsweek article sensationally claimed that a Japanese-American man living in California named Dorian Prentice Satoshi Nakamoto was the real Satoshi. The evidence seemed compelling. Dorian was a physicist and systems engineer who had worked on classified defense projects. He was a libertarian who was skeptical of the government and banks. And his birth name? Satoshi Nakamoto. When a reporter confronted him at his home, Dorian famously said, "I am no longer involved in that and I cannot discuss it." This was seen by many as a confession. The crypto world went into a frenzy. However, the story quickly fell apart. Dorian later clarified that he had misunderstood the question, thinking it was about his previous classified work. He denied any involvement with Bitcoin, and his technical skills didn't seem to perfectly align with the creator's profile. Even the real Satoshi Nakamoto, in a brief return to an old online forum, posted a simple message: "I am not Dorian Nakamoto." So, while it was a fascinating lead, the case for Dorian Nakamoto is widely considered closed. Next up, we have Hal Finney. Hal was a legendary cryptographer and one of the earliest pioneers of digital privacy. He was a key member of the cypherpunks, a group of activists who advocated for using cryptography to protect individual freedoms. Crucially, Hal Finney was the very first person, other than Satoshi himself, to run the Bitcoin software. He was also the recipient of the first ever Bitcoin transaction, sent to him by Satoshi as a test. The circumstantial evidence is strong. Finney lived just a few blocks away from Dorian Nakamoto, leading some to speculate he might have used Dorian's name as a cover. His writing style also showed some similarities to Satoshi's. Sadly, Hal Finney was diagnosed with ALS and passed away in 2014. Before his death, he vehemently denied being Satoshi, showing email exchanges with the creator as proof. While many in the community believe Hal was Satoshi, or at least part of a group, there's no definitive proof. He remains a beloved figure in Bitcoin's history and a top contender in this great mystery. Another prominent name on the list is Nick Szabo. Szabo is a brilliant computer scientist, legal scholar, and cryptographer. Years before Bitcoin even existed, in 1998, he designed a concept called BitGold. BitGold had striking similarities to Bitcoin. It was a decentralized digital currency that relied on cryptographic puzzles, what we now call mining. Many see BitGold as a direct precursor to Bitcoin. In fact, the similarities are so uncanny that some researchers are convinced Szabo must be Satoshi. A linguistic analysis of Satoshi's writings compared to Szabo's showed a remarkable match. However, just like the others, Nick Szabo has consistently and firmly denied being Satoshi. In a 2014 interview, he stated, "I'm not Satoshi," though he acknowledged the world's fascination with the topic. Is he telling the truth, or is he protecting his privacy? The evidence is tantalizing, but without a confession, Szabo remains just a theory. Then we have the controversial figure of Craig Wright. Wright is an Australian computer scientist and businessman who, in 2016, publicly claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto. He even provided what he called extraordinary proof to several major media outlets, attempting to sign messages with Satoshi's private cryptographic keys. This was a huge moment. If he could prove he had access to Satoshi's keys, the mystery would be solved. However, the crypto community quickly scrutinized his evidence and found it to be a sham. Experts demonstrated that his proof was a clever but ultimately deceptive trick, reusing an old signature from a public Bitcoin transaction. Despite being widely discredited, Wright has continued to insist he is Satoshi, even filing lawsuits against those who doubt him. This has led to lengthy and costly legal battles. The consensus in the cryptocurrency world is almost universal. Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. His story serves as a cautionary tale about claims and proof in the digital age. So if it's not Dorian, Hal, Nick, or Craig, who could it be? This leads us to another popular theory. Satoshi Nakamoto wasn't one person at all, but a group of people. This theory makes a lot of sense. Creating Bitcoin required expertise in multiple fields: cryptography, computer science, economics, and network engineering. The sheer quality and complexity of the original code suggest a level of collaboration and peer review that would be difficult for a single person to achieve, especially in such a short time. The name Satoshi Nakamoto itself could be a pseudonym for a collective. It's also a practical way to ensure the project remains decentralized. If there's no single leader, there's no single point of failure. The project can live on, guided by the community, which is exactly what has happened. This group could have included people like Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, and other anonymous cypherpunks, working together in secret. So what clues did Satoshi leave behind? We can analyze his language and behavior. Satoshi's writings, including his forum posts and emails, are written in near-perfect English, using British spelling and phrases like bloody hard. This suggests he might have been from the UK or the Commonwealth. However, his posting patterns, when analyzed by time zone, suggest he was likely in North America. This discrepancy could be intentional misdirection, or it could mean he was a night owl, or that a group of people from different time zones were involved. He also demonstrated a deep understanding of Austrian economics, a school of thought that champions free markets and is critical of central banking. This aligns perfectly with Bitcoin's philosophical underpinnings. Whoever Satoshi was, he wasn't just a coder. He was a visionary with a clear political and economic ideology. In the end, does it really matter who Satoshi Nakamoto is? In a way, the answer is no. The beauty of Bitcoin is that it's designed to be trustless. You don't need to know or trust the creator. You just need to trust the code, which is open source for anyone to inspect. Satoshi's anonymity is perhaps his greatest gift to the project. By disappearing, he allowed Bitcoin to grow organically, without a central figurehead who could be pressured, compromised, or deified. He created a system that belongs to everyone. The mystery of his identity has become a core part of Bitcoin's mythology, a modern legend for the digital age. It reminds us that a single idea, shared with the world, can be more powerful than any single person. Perhaps the real identity of Satoshi Nakamoto is not a person's name, but the very ideal of decentralization itself. And that's our journey through the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto. From Dorian Nakamoto to Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, and the possibility of a group, the quest continues. What do you think? Who is your prime suspect? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. See you in the next one.